So have you ever been in a situation where the actual sales at the end of a quarter were completely different from the forecast sales at the start of the quarter? I think we've probably all been there. So in this video, I wanted to just explain how you can configure Dynamics to help improve forecast accuracy. Now, I think the problem is a lot of organizations forecast pretty badly. Partly, I think, sometimes because they use things like Excel spreadsheets rather than a CRM system, but even when they do centralize it, they don't always get the accuracy of forecast that would be desirable. The problem is, businesses need to make good decisions. They need to make decisions around resourcing, around marketing, around hiring, around inventory, around manufacturing, all sorts of difficult decisions that need to be made, ideally based on good data. At the end of the day, sales forecasts really act like a radar. They're sort of looking out into the future, detecting opportunities or threats and allowing businesses to mitigate the threats and capitalize on the opportunities. So let's go into the system and I'll show you some of the basic configuration that helps improve forecast accuracy. So I'm in the opportunities area, and I guess the first thing to say is if you want to improve forecast accuracy, use your CRM system for tracking opportunities. It's a much better platform than trying to do it in a spreadsheet. Secondly, if you're going to do forecasting, you do need universal adoption of the system. It's not going to work if only a handful of people are actually forecasting within the system, or they're forecasting half their deals and ignoring the others. It does require consistent usage by all people that should be using it. Now, we could do a very extensive video, maybe we will for the future, around user adoption. But the key thing is that management need to drive it, and it needs to be really clear to everybody that this is how we track our opportunities, this is how we forecast, and really make sure everybody understands why we're doing it and the importance to everybody of doing it well. Now, if we go into an opportunity record, I think that the next thing I'd say is we really have to think about how we configure an opportunity record. Now, I'm in the system at the moment. This is a test system. This is Dynamics as it comes out of the box. I haven't, by and large, I might have added the odd field here and there, but this is pretty much as it comes out of the box. It's really important for good forecasting that you tune the system so it supports your particular sales process, and everybody's sales process is going to be different to some degree or another. So the key thing I'm sort of looking at is, what is the sales process? Let's talk about a random sales process. So let's say an organization goes through a number of steps. They have to qualify a deal. They have to do a site survey. If the site survey checks out, then they need to do a proposal. And if the client gives a go-ahead, they need to issue contracts, get those signed, and then it's all closed. So we can see those stages there. Now, those need to be reflected in your stages. These are the out-of-the-box ones: qualify, develop, propose, close. I would suggest you make sure that system configured to support your particular sales process stages. And then for each of those steps, we want to tune the data capture so that it supports moving from step to step through the stages. So let's say in the qualify area, if I click here, you can see these are the fields it's saying out of the box I should be filling out. Now, these may or may not fit what you need, but chances are that you're going to have sort of 4 or 5 key criteria that represent whether an opportunity is qualified or not. These are the fields that you need to be recording here. You can make these mandatory, by the way. You can stop somebody moving from one stage to another based on filling out these fields. So this is your opportunity to control that qualification. So let's say our next stage was a site survey. Then we want to be tracking information about what date was the site survey performed, and maybe having a link to the actual site survey itself. If we move on to the next stage of quotation, we might want to have date the quotation was sent and a link to the quotation. Next, moving on to the next stage, the contract's going out. We want to say what dates were the contract sent out and the links to the contract before we can move on to close. So we can sort of regulate the flow, and typically we want to link the probability of the deal happening to based on the stage that you're in. So by using the business process flow controls within Dynamics and getting really good thoughtful data capture, you can control how people go through the flow, and you can make sure that we are positioning our opportunities at the correct stage and with the correct associated probability. Then the other thing I would really encourage is that people use the timeline view. So anytime they've got meetings, phone calls, tasks, emails coming in, emails going out, that those are recorded back against the opportunity. That helps sales managers validate that the opportunities are progressing, that they haven't stalled out. So I think that's another key consideration, as I think is tracking products and services against that. So we've got a products area. We can maintain within the system a product catalog and price lists. And I think it helps. It's going to give us much better visibility and much better management information if not only are we forecasting, we can say with precision what products and services make up the deals within our forecast. And again, the same I think is for quotes. So tracking quotes back against opportunities is really potentially valuable as well. Again, this is sort of out of the box, but it gives me an opportunity to see what quotes have been issued and when those have gone out. So it gives you a lot more control. So that's tracking against the opportunity itself. Then really what we're trying to do is use the system to monitor the data that's in there, to monitor the opportunity data that's in there. So if I go back to my opportunities area, so there's a few things to consider here. Firstly, I've got this thing called the pipeline view. So if I just go into that, that'll display that. Now this is an out-of-the-box view within the system, but I think it's really powerful from a forecasting standpoint because I can actually look at my deals based on 4 different dimensions. I've got my probability on one axis, I've got my estimated close date on another axis, I can see today's date, I can see any historic opportunities that, somebody's saying they were going to close a week ago, that, those need to be updated. Then I can see the size of the deal, I can also see the stage it's at, it's a really good visual. And then in terms of the data grid below, that's an editable data grid, so it encourages salespeople just to be able to update that in the same way they would an Excel spreadsheet. So if I go back to the read-only grid, the other thing is just being able to create custom views. So I'm in open opportunities at the moment. If I want to know the deals closing, let's say in the next 30 days, it's really helpful if I can quickly create that query. Now I can do that within Dynamics. So if I could go here, I'm in open opportunities, I go to edit filters, I just click on that. That all opens up. Ignore the topic, does not contain CSV. I've got a lot of dummy data in here, which I'm just hiding away to make that look a little bit nicer. Now, if I go to this, add a row, I want my estimated close date. So I'll just go and say in the next, not hours, next X days, let's say 30 days. So I can do that, I can apply that. So I can very quickly sort of analyze that data, see which deals are closing in the next 30 days or 14 days or 7 days or whatever it is, or whatever criteria I want to do. I don't have to wait for the admin team to create that view for me. I've got the flexibility to create it very easily. And if I want to change what data is displayed here, I can just go to the edit columns. If I want to then save that, I can save that as a new view, which I can go back to time and time again. So again, making sure that we understand how views work and making sure that we can build our own views quickly and easily is really important. The other thing we can do, and let me just go back, let's go back to open opportunities again. One thing I can do is also create my own custom charts. So I've got this area here called show charts. I've got a series of charts here, a series of system charts and personal charts that I've created. I'm not going to explain exactly how to do that. There is other videos I've done on it, and I'll try and list those below. But again, I can use charts to quickly control, quickly display data about the opportunities that I'm responsible for. So I can see exactly how they're falling by month. In this case, I've just shown opportunities by month broken down by sales stage. It's quite an insightful way of looking at it. In the same way, I can also go to my dashboards, and I can create my own dashboards. I can have system dashboards that are set up in the back end by the administrator or the implementation partner, but I can also create my own, which I've done here. And I've got that visual chart about those open opportunities, when they fall, what stage they're at. I can see a breakdown of opportunities by owner. I can see my open opportunities. I can see my opportunities closing this month. But it's very easy to build your own dashboard or multiple dashboards that display all sorts of data and insights around the opportunities that you're ultimately responsible for. The last thing I'd say is that some people want to, in addition to tracking the forecast, they want to track perhaps more of a revenue recognition approach. So let's say we've got a deal for 100,000, but we've got part of it delivered after a month. We've got another part delivered after 2 months. We've got another part delivered after 4 months. It is possible in the system to create sort of associated revenue recognition type records. They can actually break that deal down further and track, those milestones through the delivery process, if that's what you wanted to do. Anyway, I say this is. There are other features within Dynamics. For example, there is a sort of forecasting module, but what I've described here is really the basics, configuring the system to help deliver forecast accuracy. So basically, if you can get a well set up system that's tuned to your particular processes, and you can get adoption of it, and you can tune the reporting on it, it's really, really powerful. From a salesperson's perspective, it helps them position their deals accurately. From a sales manager's perspective, it helps them analyze those deals, identify ones that may not be being forecast correctly, and work with the salesperson to correct that situation. From a sort of leadership perspective, it gives you much better basis to make key decisions in terms of upcoming opportunities and threats. And often that ability to make really good decisions is the difference between a business thriving and a business failing. Anyway, hopefully that's been helpful. We've done a series of videos on Dynamics 365 for sales themes. Check out the channel to see those. Also, you've got suggested content ideas, or you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, check out the links below. Anyway, thanks very much for your time today. Hopefully see you again soon.